someone give me the okay when we're ready?
I think we're ready.
Judge gave you a thumbs up. We are ready.
All right. Good evening. Welcome to a regularly scheduled meeting of the Waterville City Council. Before we get started, I will ask everyone to stand and we will say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you're texting instead of pledging, we can see you. Next, we have a proclamation from the City Council, and our Council Chair, Eric Thomas, will stand and read that. Oh, I guess you don't have to stand. You can.
Whereas Maine is committed to a clean energy future and enjoys. Is the mic on? Says it should be. Can you hear me now? Cut. That's a wrap. Yeah. Check 1, 2, testing 1, 2.
Oh, what's the problem with the audio, right?
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Okay.
'Cause I mean, we can't hear them.
Right, okay.
Can you guys hear me? Nope.
I can.
They can't hear me either.
Rick, if it's any consolation, I can hear you. So we know the problem's
What's
not,
wrong with you,
the
man?
problem's not in the room. We've eliminated something.
Can you guys hear me through the speaker?
I don't think they can hear any of us.
Okay. Try. Can somebody talk?
Can you hear me now? Matt, can you hear me? I think that was a no. Or he's just ignoring me. Check 1, 2, testing, 1, 2. Claude, Flavia, Matt, can anyone hear me?
Jed,
Flavia can hear me.
can you hear this one?
Very faint.
Okay.
Okay, we're doing this little thing over here. I'm not gonna lie.
Check 1, 2. Can you hear me now?
That's better.
Can I hear it?
Are we ready to go? Can I proclaim?
Should we check to make sure? Can you hear us?
I'm going to proclaim and then we'll figure things out.
All right.
All right. Whereas Maine is committed to a clean energy future and enjoys abundant forms of renewable energy that power homes and businesses across the state, and whereas the generation of power from renewable sources, including forms such as hydro, wood, wind, and solar, accounts for 3/4 of net electricity generation in Maine, and whereas Maine has increased its renewable portfolio standard to 80% by 2030 and has a goal of 100% renewable energy by 2050. And whereas Maine leads New England in wind-powered generation and ranks 6th in the country in its share of electricity generated from wind. And whereas the American Council for an Energy Efficient Economy ranked Maine 15th in its 2019 State Energy Efficiency Scorecard. And whereas Maine has established mandates to reduce greenhouse gas emissions 45% below 1990 levels by 2030 and 80% by 2050, and created the Maine Climate Council to provide recommendations to meet those targets. And whereas Maine's clean energy jobs grow local economies and boost economic development, and whereas National Clean Energy Week provides an opportunity for individuals, local governments, corporations, and other organizations in Maine to champion common sense solutions that address the United States' evolving economic and energy needs, now therefore be it resolved that the Waterville City Council do hereby proclaim September 21st through September 25th, 2020 as National Clean Energy Week throughout the city of Waterville, and we urge all citizens to recognize this observance.
right. Thank you. Next, we have the disclosure of the conflict of interest. Is there anybody who has a conflict of interest with any of the votes that they may take tonight? Looking, seeing as none, I will ask if there's a motion for the approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? We'll take a roll call, please.
Counselor Morris?
Yes.
Counselor Oliveira?
Yes.
Counselor Mayu?
Yes.
Counselor Foss?
Yes.
Counselor Frankie?
Yes.
Counselor Thomas?
Yes.
Vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Moving on to unfinished business, ordinance 186, 2020.
I'll make a motion to take all of the items on the agenda by title only.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Counselor Morris?
Yes.
Counselor Oliveira?
Yes.
Counselor Mayu?
Yes.
Counselor Foss?
Yes.
Counselor Frankie?
Yes.
Counselor Thomas?
Yes.
Vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Thank you.
All right, now we will say ordinance 186, 2020.
An ordinance providing for enactment of an emergency powers ordinance.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? I'll take a roll call, please.
Counselor Morris?
Yes.
Counselor Oliveira?
Yes.
Counselor Mayu?
Yes.
Counselor Foss?
Yes.
Counselor Frankie?
Yes.
Counselor Thomas?
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Next, we have Order 198, 2020.
An order providing for sale of city property, Airport Road.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Counselor Morris?
Yes.
Counselor Oliveira?
Yes.
Counselor Mayu?
Yes.
Counselor Foss?
Yes.
Counselor Frankie?
Yes.
Counselor Thomas?
Yes.
Vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
just wanted to mention under Airport Road, we received an offer today for the price that we've been advertising for the lot adjacent to this one. So that'll be on your next agenda.
Okay, great.
Fantastic.
Things are moving out there, huh?
Really moving.
All right.
Right.
Awesome. Really good. Thanks for that news. Next is Order 204, 2020.
An order providing for acceptance of a Colby College donation.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion. I'll take a roll call, please.
Counselor Morris?
Yes.
Counselor Oliveira?
Yes.
Counselor Mayu?
Yes.
Counselor Foss?
Yes.
Counselor Frankie?
Yes.
Counselor Thomas?
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Moving on to new business, Resolution 206, 2020.
A resolution providing for support for lease of city property.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion.
This is been talking with Ken Walsh about this. This is a pretty exciting opportunity for Waterville as a whole, and I'd love to have Ken come in and tell us more about this. You know, the placement of it is going to cost us $0 out of the city's budget. The placement couldn't be better with Quarry Road. Trail sitting right there. It now gives us a winter theme to bring and keep people here through the winter time, and for us something, you know, for all of us something to do. So that's what I'd like to say about it.
Great. There he is.
There's the man.
Hey, welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Councilors, Mr. Mayor, we're very excited to be in front of you today, talk about this exciting project that's been hatched a number of years ago in discussion. But I think we're at this point with a council approval to move forward to bring skating and hockey back in this community. I've been here for 29 years, and what I heard for many, many years is that almost every kid, boy and girl, had the opportunity to skate. In the North End, the South End, there was rinks all over the place. And because of challenges with cost and access, skating is non-existent. And I think with the great relationship we have with the Park and Recreation Department, with the City of Waterville, with Central Maine Youth Hockey, when we were developing our new facility development with the Wellness Center, there was discussion about the possibility us building a rink right next to the facility, adjacent to one of our gymnasiums. After looking into that in depth, we found out that there's no way we could have a full sheet of ice. And it didn't make sense. So for us to get to the objective of providing public skating and bringing skating back into this community, we talked with our friends at the Park and Recreation Department, Matt Skian and Mike, and a few counselors about what other options may be. North Street is a beautiful recreation area. And with the ALFOND Youth and Community Center, what we've been doing there by serving kids and families, and what the Park and Recreation has been doing with the outdoor pool, and there's great development going on with the renovation at the pool, the tennis courts, the soccer, we thought the rink would be a perfect location for this community. So that's where we're at. And one of the things that we stress, because we know the importance of developing Waterville, is if our nonprofit entity could get involved, there's no taxes that will be involved in regards to developing this. Just like we did at the ALFOND Youth and Community Center. We built it, we raised money for the capital side, we managed it, we built a plant fund, we looked at endowment building. That's the same thing that we'll do to look at long-term sustainability for this type of structure as well. So we're very excited about reaching out to many kids and families to bring skating back into this community, and with your help with negotiation and talk about a lease and taking the next step, we could start the fundraising process and move forward with this exciting project. With me is Eric Netto, who's a board member of the ALFOND Youth and Community Center, but is a tireless leader with the Central Maine Youth Hockey, and has done a tremendous amount of things for kids in the community, boys and girls, to get into skating and hockey. And he's behind this. So I always want to surround myself with experts. All right? I'm the talking piece, but he's the action guy. So, Eric, if you want to say a few words.
Thanks, Ken. Thank you guys for allowing us to come here tonight and talk a little bit about the rink. As Ken mentioned, there's a lot of positive momentum for this project, and I did send along a short presentation to the council this morning.
We have it.
It's up on the screen too, Eric.
Oh, you do have it. Excellent. Okay. Yeah, if you want to go to the slide that talks about the project drivers. Yep. Couple more. There you go. So, as Ken mentioned, we've been talking about this for a while, but there's really a few key drivers for this project. The first is really to build upon the legacies of Harold Alfond and Doug Sukforth. Doug's been, kind of the lead on the fundraising side of this project, and obviously Harold Alfond's had such a huge impact on skating and just in the community in general. So, when Colby was building their new facility and they were having some discussions about what to do with the old rink, we saw it as an opportunity to really start talking about that. We also want to ensure that recreational and competitive skating is available to everybody. We want to establish a sustainable business model through a multi-purpose facility. So this will be a skating rink in the winter, and we'll use it as for other activities in the off season as well. And we really want to expand on youth-oriented sports and recreation programs, which is really the core to the AYCC mission. Okay. We outlined some objectives. This kind of expands a little bit on some of the project drivers. If you want to jump to right here. So this is really, I think this is really important because, when you have an idea like this, sometimes it seems a little, you're looking at it and you're like, can we really do this? Well, we've accomplished a few things that I think are really key to this project. As I mentioned, the key fundraising support from Doug and Rita Sukforth. We secured a significant donation from Colby College. They donated just about anything that we could pull out of that rink. We were able to get. We got the refrigeration system, the boards, the glass, the lights. So again, it's about kind of not losing that Harold Alfond rink, right? A lot of us wanted to see that continue, so we're going to be able to reuse and salvage that material, which is really exciting. And we also, about a year ago, we completed a comprehensive demand study. So we hired a firm out of Portland, Central Maine Youth Hockey paid for that service. And that demand study, we got, I think, 500 or 600 responses from the community. There is support for this project, both at the competitive skating level and, more importantly, at the recreational skating level. So we, 3 key things, and why we're here tonight is this is the next phase for this project. It's really, and we have community support, we have Colby support. We really want to get city support on this. We want to partner with the city on this project because we really feel it's going to be a positive asset for the city of Waterville. So our next steps, lease agreement. So once we're able to secure the lease agreement with the city, then we'll work with the AYCC board. I serve as the finance committee chair, and we are, the next steps will be starting to talk about design and feasibility and continuing to research and develop our multi-year pro forma and fundraising. So this is really we've been taking a methodical approach to this. We're trying not to get too far ahead of ourselves. And we're here tonight because this is the next step. So again, thank you for your time, and we appreciate the support and look forward to moving forward.
And I realize this is really preliminary, but do you know exactly what piece of land? I'm trying to visualize. Is it the entire North Street soccer fields?
No, it would be the space between the pool and the playground.
Okay, I was trying to visualize
There's
in my
a
head.
basketball court right there.
Right.
Kind of in
Okay.
behind there.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you.
Does the basketball court get impacted, or?
The basketball court would stay, depending on how the rink is configured. It might need to turn a little bit, but the basketball court will definitely still be there. There's no question about that.
So the pool would be there. What would be getting taken out, or nothing?
Nothing, that
Nothing.
flat area.
The tennis courts?
No, it's
That
just
all-
a big,
So
that's a plot
you
of
got
grass right now.
you got the fence of the pool.
Yeah.
Then you got the two or three big trees.
Yeah.
Then it slopes up. They're in that flat area,
Wow,
right behind the basketball court, towards the walking trail. It's a
Great.
perfect spot for it.
good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be nice.
I think especially after the closure of Suki, even though that wasn't in Waterville, that was, by the time I was a kid, that was at least a local place where everyone had to go skate, and when that went away, there's really been nothing. So I think it's very, very exciting.
Yeah, I think, skating's about access. And it's a huge barrier right now for kids and the community. So this would certainly help break down that barrier, right? Give people the access.
We also have a huge announcement. One of the exciting things is how do you drum that interest? Just like what we did at Wrigley Field, right? The great partnership we had, the city, we're leasing that piece of property, and we built a $1.4 million replica Wrigley Field, ball field. 60 kids of Little Leaguers or Cal Ripken players, now we over have 200. Okay, it's because of access. It's because of the facility. That's the same thing we're going to try to do here. And how we're going to start is only 2 months away or a month away. Central Maine Youth Hockey just bought synthetic flooring that we're going to put in gym number 3. So once you come into the ALFOND Youth and Community Center, you walk in, you're going to see kids skating in gym 3.
Wow.
Right? And you're able to skate. So kids who've never had the opportunity, especially kids in the after-school program, do have the means. We have skates that are being donated. They can have skates on their feet, and they're learning how to skate now before this rink is even being built. So what's that going to mean? Volumes of kids already are going to be itching to get on this ice. So this is going to take off.
Is this going to be like are we going to make a little garden? Is that what we're going to do? Like the little Boston garden? We got
Hey,
little
that's a
Fenway,
great
little
idea.
Wrigley, like we're going to kind
Hey,
of like...
let's get the license agreement. Who knows the Boston Bruins? We can make that call in a heartbeat. Hey, we were able to get Chicago to get a licensed Wrigley Field. Like, I think we could do that, right?
Sid?
I got to say, I hold you guys, ALFOND Youth Community Center in very high regard. You know that, Ken.
Thank you.
I've had many a conversation with you and the organization, and, I was involved with, with the Purnell Wrigley Field on a high end, and I definitely, this is just amazing. It's just, one word for it I can think of that comes to the top of my head, mesmerizing. It just really is, because of the fact that this ice rink, and I can remember when I was young, there was ice rinks all over the city of Waterville into various forms, south end, north end. Kids would get together with sticks in the back of the, I can remember one specific that I used to play on was where the old Martin's building was in a patch of woods. All the kids would come out, I would come out, we all look forward to that. This is something that is absolutely going to be an additional jewel to the recreational area, from the center to the North Street Playground, to the Waterville Swimming Pool, all the way down to another great jewel being the Quarter Road area. I mean, it's just amazing that we have built this city into such a recreational jewel for so many, not only the community, but the region, even the state. I mean, I know of a lot of people that come from long distances to come to Waterville for these types of things. And we've opened up a whole new chapter for our youth, and our youth has been put at the top of the list as a priority. And you guys do a fabulous job, outstanding job, off the charts as far as I'm concerned, of the care and the compassion and the dedication that you give to the youth of this community and the region. And I just salute you for everything that you do, because I will support this to the day that I go to my grave. This is an absolute awesome project, and I fully support it.
Yeah. And the point you made is youth, but more importantly than that is youth and families.
Absolutely.
And that's what we need to be doing in this community, is bringing the families together more and more. And projects like that will do that. So thank you very much for those comments.
Rick?
Ken, maybe, you and I talked, and we can skate pretty well, but maybe we can learn how to stop too. We can help each other with that.
Now, we gave up on him.
I'll stay to baseball.
If I could add one thing, John Robertson, fellow board member with Central Maine Youth Hockey, handed me some information tonight before I came in, and I think this is interesting to share with the council, because I think there's probably some misconception about where hockey is, where skating is in this area, particularly with the kids. So in 2017, 2018, Central Maine Youth Hockey had 168 kids registered for our program. In 2018-19, that number went to 277. And this past year, 19-20, we had over 300 people, kids, middle school kids, and we had an adult learn to play program as well. 300 registrants in our program. So hockey's not dead in Waterville. It's not dead in the area. It's skating is important. It's part of our culture, and I think this rink will help that continue to grow into the future.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is the count? Yeah, Mike?
I just wanted to add, we're going to spend the next 2 weeks trying to revise the lease, the same lease that the city used with the ALFOND Youth Center when it was built 20 years ago. So we'll take that lease and model it or change it to fit this rink proposal. And unfortunately, this pandemic year has given us a very good reason why we need another rink, because this coming winter, there won't be any place to skate in the city of Waterville. Kobe's new rink will not be open. The old rink will be gone. And so we're going to Augusta or Kent's Hill. And if we had another rink, our own community rink, we wouldn't have to face that.
Kent's Hill's closed.
Kent's Hill's closed, too.
Kent's Hill's closed? Oh, we got one option.
Even more reason.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, we ready for a roll call, everyone? Patty?
Counselor Morris?
Yes.
Counselor Oliveira?
Yes.
Counselor Mayu?
Yes.
Counselor Foss?
Absolutely, yes.
Counselor Frankie?
Yes.
Counselor Thomas?
Yes.
Vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Next is Resolution 207, 2020.
A resolution providing for approval of application for a recreational trails development grant.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? Take a roll call.
Counselor Morris?
Yes.
Counselor Oliveira?
Yes.
Counselor Mayu?
Yes.
Counselor Foss?
Yes.
Counselor Frankie?
Yes.
Counselor Thomas?
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Next is Order 208, 2020.
An order providing for acceptance of City Street, Lafayette Street.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion.
Mike, you have something on this?
Not particularly. I think the map is a very helpful explanation of the section we're talking about. You know, it was discontinued quite a long time ago. Now we have someone that's willing to make an investment on that street, which will result in property taxes. It also gives the city public works department a place to plow and leave snow at the end, so it's got that benefit too. So we're supportive of this idea.
Great. I will take a roll call.
Counselor Morris?
Yes.
Counselor Oliveira?
Yes.
Counselor Mayu?
Yes.
Counselor Foss?
Yes.
Counselor Frankie?
Yes.
Counselor Thomas?
Yes.
Vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Next is Ordinance 209, 2020.
An ordinance providing for amendment to zoning.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Is there discussion? Rick?
So, we had talked about this a month and a half ago or so. This is the property out on County Road that Mr. Violet owns. I'm happy to announce that the Sweats and Nick from Dirigo Solar have talked and come to a very good agreement. This is how it's supposed to look when things come together and work for both parties. Before we have Nick come in, Mr. Sweat asked me to read a email. Hi, Rick. I just wanted you to know that I appreciate all your effort and support during the last few months. I also want to thank Mayor Isgro, Mr. Morris, Mr. Mayhew for their support. I hope they don't think I'm wishy-washy, but at the end of the day, I just wanted to be friends with everyone, including the landowner. I want what's best for our neighborhood and city. Nick from Dirigo Solar is a fine young man and has a big heart. I know he's going to be a fine neighbor. To the council and to the mayor, I support Nick's project. Please let him know if I can help in any way. You all know where I live. Thank you, Al Sweat.
Great. Nick, you want to come in?
Thanks very much for having me. Appreciate the opportunity to be back here. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you have a large agenda, but want to be here to answer some questions and just maybe give a summary of some of the updates that we've provided for in our future application.
Yeah, maybe if you could just kind of go over the highlights of what's different.
Sure. Yeah. So probably pretty familiar with this. This is the proposed 5 megawatt solar array. It shows the Sweats property right here, and so we've done basically a few modifications to the vegetative buffer agreement, and also put that in writing so that there's full transparency and everyone's clear on what our proposal is. So from we were able to determine that from day one we'll be able to put a minimum of 8-foot trees along his property line there, so that the second that we begin, he won't be able to see anything. So originally there's the fence line here, and then we have the vegetative buffer. This will be a staggered row of trees so that there's no kind of spacing, and then we've also agreed to put in kind of lower bushes that make sense. So we'll work with the local arborist to get that done. And then a third row that we discussed with the Sweats would go here in order to prevent any visual impact from this back corner and the window, which I think was the primary concern. And so those are really the main challenge or changes.
Great. This is a great example. Everyone coming together.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nick, you were a pleasure to work with. We had great discussions. The Sweats are very happy. I've talked to them in great detail, and thank you for everything you've done.
Well, thanks very much. Yeah, the council's been great to work with as well, and so the Sweats and all the abutting landowners. So we really appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I think it was a great opportunity to all come together and find the right solution that works for everyone. So thank you
We're
for your
going to be
time.
seeing you in the future, maybe.
I hope so.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
Yep.
All right. Great. Any other questions for Nick? Any other comments before we go to a roll call? All right, Patty.
Counsel Morris,
Yes.
Counsel Olivera, Counsel Olivera.
Yes.
Counsel Mayu,
Yes.
Counsel Foss,
Yes.
Counsel Frankie,
Yes.
Counsel Thomas.
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Thanks, Nick. Next is Order 210-2020.
An order providing for approval of forfeiture.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Counsel Morris,
Yes.
Counsel Olivera,
Yes.
Counsel Mayu,
Yes.
Counsel Foss,
Yes.
Counsel Frankie,
Yes.
Counsel Thomas.
Yes.
Vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Next, 211-2020.
An order providing for approval of forfeiture.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion?
Mike,
Counselor?
Mike, is there any reason these things can't be in the consent agenda in the future? We've never said no to one of these. I mean, and I assume if you had objections, then you would not put it in the consent agenda.
Yeah, and I think we talked about that in January too.
I think it's a very good idea.
Yep.
And like you said, if there's something special about them or we had a problem with it, we'd put it on the regular agenda, but why not make it a consent agenda thing? Thank
Great
you.
idea.
Good idea.
Anybody have an objection to that? Nope.
Will do.
For this one, we'll take a roll call, though, 'cause we're...
Counsel Morris,
Yes.
Counsel Olivera,
Yes.
Counsel Mayu,
Yes.
Counsel Foss,
Yes.
Counsel Frankie,
Yes.
Counsel Thomas.
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Resolution 212-2020.
A resolution providing for appropriation of FEMA reimbursement.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'd actually like to make a amendment that we actually table this until the next meeting. This is something that I tried to get on here for this meeting, and I got some information rather late this afternoon that I just need to work through before we really just present this.
Okay.
So at this point, I'd like to just pull it back, and we'll put it on the agenda for next week, please.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Do we need a roll call on that, Patty? Yep.
Counsel Morris,
Yes.
Counsel Olivera,
Yes.
Counsel Mayu,
Yes.
Counsel Foss,
Yes.
Counsel Frankie,
Yes.
Counsel Thomas.
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Thank you.
Resolution 213-2020.
A resolution providing for referral to the planning board.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion.
Just a little bit of background. We have 2 airport zones. One provides for or allows solar facilities. The other airport zone does not. We had assumed from the beginning that this one was in the permitted zone, but in fact it's not. So we need to amend the zoning if we're going to see this facility built, which I really hope we can see it built. So this is a referral to the planning board to talk about how to do that.
Absolutely.
Take a roll
This
call.
is not the one on the Runser property, it's the other one.
Right.
Roll call, Patty.
Counsel Morris?
Yes.
Counsel Olivera?
Yes.
Counsel Mayu?
Yes.
Counselor Foss?
Yes.
Counselor Frankie?
yes,
Counselor Thomas?
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Resolution 214, 2020.
A resolution providing for issuance of a liquor license to Elm City 9 LLC, doing business as the Lockwood.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Is there discussion? Roll call, please.
Counsel Morris?
Yes.
Counsel Olivera?
Yes.
Counselor Mayu?
Yes.
Counselor Foss?
Yes.
Counselor Frankie?
yes,
Counselor Thomas?
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Resolution 215, 2020.
A resolution providing for issuance of a victualer's license to Elm City 9 LLC, doing business as the Lockwood.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Counsel Morris?
Yes.
Counselor Olivera?
Yes.
Counselor Mayu?
Yes.
Counselor Foss?
Yes.
Counselor Frankie?
yes,
Counselor Thomas?
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Resolution 216, 2020.
A resolution providing for issuance of a special amusement license to Elm City 9 LLC, doing business as the Lockwood.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Counsel Morris?
Yes.
Counselor Olivera?
Yes.
Counselor Mayu?
Yes.
Counselor Foss?
Yes.
Counselor Frankie?
yes,
Counselor Thomas?
Yes.
Vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
And Resolution 217, 2020.
A resolution providing for issuance of an innkeeper's license to Elm City 9 LLC, doing business as the Lockwood.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Counselor Morris?
Yes.
Counselor Olivera?
Yes.
Counselor Mayu?
Yes.
Counselor Foss?
Yes.
Counselor Frankie?
yes,
Counselor Thomas?
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Resolution 218, 2020.
A resolution providing for designating the polling place for the general election and regular and special municipal election to be held on November 3, 2020.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Counselor Morris?
Yes.
Counselor Olivera?
Yes.
Counselor Mayu?
Yes.
Counselor Foss?
Yes.
Counselor Frankie?
yes,
Counselor Thomas?
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
And somebody want to
I
take up?
move to move cloture to bring in Resolution 219, 2020.
Second.
Roll call on that.
Counselor Morris?
Yes.
Counselor Olivera?
Yes.
Counselor Mayu?
Yes.
Counselor Foss?
Yes.
Counselor Frankie?
yes,
Counselor Thomas?
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed. Would you like me to read the entire thing, or?
I'm happy just to kind of give an intro, and then we'll have these folks come in.
She's got to read it first.
Oh,
At least the title.
yeah, read the title.
Just the
A
title.
resolution providing for membership in the U.S. Conference of Mayors.
Move to adopt.
Second.
I was just so excited, I guess, you know? So I had the opportunity to meet with some folks from the Waterville Community Land Trust as well as the South End Neighborhood Association. And there's an exciting grant opportunity for them to apply for, but in order for them to be able to apply for it, the City of Waterville has to be a member of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. And whether they get this approval or not for this particular grant, this opens up the ability to apply for a lot of other grants. It basically gives the city access to just a greater sphere of resources for what I think is really a negligible cost. I was happy to tell them I would bring it here. I am not in charge of the spending, the city council is. And I believe we have those good folks here who can come and actually tell us specifically about this project and what's going on. And I'll let you all introduce yourself as you speak. Thanks for coming.
Thanks. Thank you,
See how it
Mayor.
goes.
I'm Nancy Williams, and I am a director of Waterville Community Land Trust. This is Paula Saul, who is our new president of the Land Trust. You know Anna Holdener? Oh,
No,
Sarah?
they don't. Hi, I'm
They
Anna
don't.
Holdener. I'm the chair of the South End Neighborhood Association.
Well, it's a good time to meet. This is Paula Raymond, who is part of the Quality of Life Committee for the center. This project is called the Milliken Project. It is named after a family that developed the land in the South End on the Moore Street and Pine Street and Carrion Street area. And the purpose of this is for the Community Land Trust to focus on this one small block of a neighborhood. Because we have been expanding out, we're now on 2 houses, and we feel that by focusing on one neighborhood, we can spend a lot more time in making change in that neighborhood. And as that neighborhood changes, we'll go on to the next neighborhood. So what we're going to be doing is we have these wonderful partners who we will be working with. It's about time we all get together and work together for the good of the neighborhoods. And I will be providing the mayor with a letter to sign that basically says, what does the city do to help its neighborhoods? And you actually do quite a bit for the South End. You know, you have your South End Neighborhood Fund, which helps support projects for the South End. You also do a heavy pickup during most years. You gave land to, you may not know this, you gave land to Habitat for Humanity to build the house that's down there. And you also, through Paula's particularly good work, by a roundabout way, you ended up also giving a piece of land that had been donated to the city rather, that became part of our small park, which is on Water Street now on the Kennebec River. So you've already done a lot. I hope that we'll be partners, and when we come and ask you for small things, it won't be any big thing, it won't be a lot of money, at least I don't think it will be. We'll hope that we'll be able to work together to really make a change in this particular neighborhood. So thank you. I think Senator wanted to say something?
Sure. Yeah, so the U.S. Conference of Mayors really is not going to just open up opportunities for the South End Neighborhood Association and the Waterville Community Land Trust. It really will open up a lot more opportunities for Waterville as a whole, which is, you know, while there is a fee to sign up for this U.S. Conference of Mayors, really it's more of an opportunity to invest in your city and invest in the small groups who do a lot of that you know, feet on the ground work that the city you know needs. You know, we complement each other. It's a very symbiotic relationship. So I hope that you guys will consider, guys and ladies.
Yeah. I think what's particularly exciting about this is this idea of focusing on one neighborhood at a time. I've talked to so many people over the years, and it always seems to be where we end up is the way to have the biggest amount of change is to focus on that one area, that one street, that one block at a time, and then you move, and that I think will just create this natural energy that will help. And I know also there are other things that you would like us to pay attention to in the South End, some streets and some other issues. And I know we put out the call for a walking tour. I would still like to actually do that. Councillor Foss responded. If anybody else would like to, obviously if there's more than 3 councillors, we have to invite Amy, but I don't think that would be a problem either. I don't think you'd mind that.
I don't mind. I'm the one who offered up doing a walking tour. I was kind of sick of hearing people kind of bash the South End on Facebook, and so I started offering that. I am a South End resident. I'm the chair of the South End Neighborhood Association. In fact, I have somebody on Saturday who is interested, so let's cool. Exchange information. We're looking in the afternoon. I need to double check that, and sure, let's meet in KV Cap's parking lot. You know, wear comfortable shoes.
We'll put it on our webpage.
Cool.
Sure.
Great. Any discussion or questions from councilors on this particular item, though, that would help get this started?
I'm just going to echo your sentiments. I mean, that focused approach on block by block, I think is great. You know, too many times projects like that get spread out all over the place, and you know, if you can focus that energy in one section, yeah, that's a great approach. I love it. I like the sounds of it.
Yeah, and I will say that, the South End Neighborhood Association just hit 20 years this year, and we've grown so much in the last couple of years. So this is a great next step to be able to partner with other agencies and have those opportunities to do joint applications for grants.
Yep.
Great. I will move for a roll call.
Counsel Morris?
Yes.
Counsel Olivera?
Yes.
Counsel Mayu?
Yes.
Counsel Foss?
Yes.
Counsel Frankie?
Yes.
Counsel Thomas?
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Great. I guess we will be in touch with you guys. Yeah, wonderful. Thanks. Next on our agenda is counselor updates. This time I see Counselor Thomas with his hand ready to go.
Patty, how many do we still only have one candidate for Ward 3?
Yes.
I don't know if anyone has any objections, but Ward 3 has been without a city councilor for a month and a half now. We only have one person who's qualified for the ballot. My personal feeling is we should go ahead and appoint that person at the next meeting so they can get started on the job. But I don't know if anybody else has any.
I'm okay with, my personal opinion is, I mean, it's up to you guys, you're the council. I wouldn't mind it. I would just make sure that whatever process we go through is, kosher with the charter and whatever language is in there. Because there may be a step we have to take, and we learned earlier this year to obey the charter. So look at the charter, check it out.
I can certainly confirm that with Bill Lee. We may have to formally go through the interview process or solicitation of candidates, but if one person expressed an interest through submitting petitions, it seems likely that that person is the only one interested, but I can certainly confirm that with the city solicitor.
Right, and I mean, anyway, if we were to, by some stretch, appoint somebody else, they're just going to be gone in a couple of months anyway.
Yeah. So, okay. Anybody else for counselor updates? Nope. Okay, next is community notes. Community notes is a time where if anybody has something they'd like to speak to that was not on the agenda tonight, now would be the time to do it, and we invite you to come in, tell us who you are and what you have to say.
Hello again.
Hi, welcome.
I don't know how you guys do it every 2 weeks, but I'm getting to know. I'm Jennifer Bergeron, owner of Lion's Den Tavern and now Erica's. I wrote down what I'm going to say because I wanted to stay on point, and there's a lot for me to say. So good evening. I'd like to take this opportunity to speak with you again tonight about our outside dining at Lion's Den Tavern. Prior to COVID-19, my instinct was to try and unite the restaurant owners of Waterville in various initiatives, but those efforts were met in large part with a wall of resistance. During COVID-19, we have completely focused on how to make our business thrive during frightening times and have been met with great success by the public and deliberate acts of disruption targeted at our business by other businesses in town. There are those who seem to think that our success at Lion's Den Tavern might have damaged their business when quite the opposite is true. A rising tide lifts all boats. Our success brings more business to the downtown, which helps everyone. When I owned Italia, I had to close my restaurant because as good as our food was, it wasn't the right concept for Waterville. I didn't go around blaming other business owners, only myself, for this failure. And I took many months to ponder my next step. When Erica and I partnered and reopened as Lion's Den Tavern, it was an immediate hit. The credit is largely due to the concept that she and I came up with and her ceaseless hard work and drive to succeed. I'm not a restaurant person, but I do know whether a business succeeds or fails rests on the shoulders of the owners and management of that business. I learned from my mistakes with Italia, and I partnered up with someone who is a restaurant person, and as a team we focus every day on how to make our place better, not on what other restaurants are doing. So I'm not sure if any of you are aware of the bitterness that specifically You Know Who's Pub and Silver Street Tavern have had towards our business this year. So I won't go into much detail. However, since it was stated that Lion's Den Tavern will possibly lose or be forced to share Haynes Park next year, and since these business owners have launched an offensive attack, I feel I am forced to defend our position. I won't spend much time addressing Charlie's arguments tonight because I've handed you back his letter with my responses in red. And honestly, I'm embarrassed for him that he had the gall to submit that letter and stand here in front of you at your last meeting accusing anyone else of having an unfair advantage when he has had one for how long? Like 2011? As for Kevin at You-Know-Who's Pub, Mr. Joseph has done nothing to try and bring something positive and new to Waterville. The patio he utilized this year is the patio I designed and had constructed in 2018 when Natalia and the pub shared the road on the concourse side of our locations. In 2018, I suggested we hire musicians to perform in the park and have them face our patio for our guests' enjoyment. And since he had the experience with that, I requested Mr. Joseph be in charge of lining up performers. He didn't want to do that, stating he was concerned that people would hang out in the park and get a free concert instead of patronizing our establishments. I suggested we try it anyway, and so what if some people get a free concert? Needless to say, we did not have music. In 2019, Erica and I were working on opening Lion's Den Tavern, so outside dining was not in the cards for us. Mr. Joseph decided not to have outside dining that year. That would have required him to put in the work and effort himself, and therefore it was not done. Back in May of this year, the owner of You-Know-Who's Pub was so opposed to Lion's Den Tavern utilizing the park that he called the police department and tried to get our outside dining shut down, stating it was a hazard for us to cross the road. When that didn't work, he brought in the fire department, and he tried to have them shut us down, and honestly, I don't even know what his grounds were. When that didn't work, he spoke with the liquor inspector and tried to have the state revoke the permission they had just given us to operate in the park. Only after failing multiple attempts to shut us down did he inquire about the park, after we'd already gotten approval. After our last city council meeting, I called the liquor inspector and asked if he recalled that the owner of the pub didn't want the park location. The inspector told me he had informed Mr. Joseph that the park was too far for him to approve, and if he wanted a space, it had to be directly in front of the pub, for example, in the parking spaces across from his establishment. I said, yes, that's where he set up. The liquor inspector was shocked. So the pub never got an extension of premise license to operate the outside patio. So he'd been in violation since mid-July, about 6 weeks, possibly more, and had been operating that space with no license. So one of you asked at the last meeting what the city's liability was for our space, but I wonder, what was Waterville's liability if something had happened in that location and the pub had been operating for 6 weeks without a license there? This brings me to the reason I'm back in front of you tonight. It's because it seems as though the council is being swayed by complaints from other businesses about the unfair process of granting Lion's Den Tavern outside dining. But you don't seem to be aware of the amount of work it has taken me personally to establish Haynes Park as a viable location for outside dining, that although you gave us permission to locate there, I don't think you realized I had to follow up with endless phone calls and multiple emails with our liquor inspector, members of the VLA committee, and the higher-ups of Bablo. You don't seem to understand that nobody else ever had any vision for that park, that we spent thousands of dollars cleaning it up and creating an atmosphere that is friendly and inviting. I'm here now because I've done all the work, and nobody had seen any potential, but now that we've done it, and they see our success, they see the potential for something wonderful there. So for 30 years, though, nobody saw that potential. And now you want to punish us for our success. Not only that, you seem to want to give it, or at least a portion of it, to You-Know-Who's Pub, where multiple incidents involving police being called have happened inside and outside that establishment over the course of the past few months. It only opened mid-July. I'm concerned with public safety. I think we can all agree that the safety of our citizens, whether customers of Lion's Den Tavern or other establishments, is paramount. Since the pub reopened, there have been I know that's probably the timer, and I apologize.
Sorry, go ahead and finish up.
Thank you. There have been no fewer than 5 times that the police have responded to serious incidents involving their patrons. Last weekend, the most serious incident yet took place, where someone yelled they had a gun. The guy reached into his pocket, dropped a clip from his pocket. I don't know if the gun was ever found, but there was definitely a clip for a gun. What started as an altercation inside the pub boiled out over onto the street and ended up in between our outside dining and our concourse entrance. We had live music and a full house. He had a brawl and weapons. So I've been told by the state that despite your approval, our outside dining won't continue past November 1st. I feel confident that I can get it, and we'll get the extension needed. But there will be another battle in the spring with the state. They've already informed me I will not be able to use the park next year. Once again, pretty confident I can get that permission. But I'm asking myself, why? Why should I try? Does this council see a value in the effort we have put towards making Waterville a better place, or does it not? Do you believe the success has just happened, or do you recognize that what you're seeing is a result of hard work and perseverance? We wanted to utilize the outside this winter, not because it's a huge moneymaker, but because we want Waterville and Lion's Den Tavern to offer something different than what can be found everywhere else. I don't want to come across as angry, although sometimes I do. And I'm really grateful that you approved an extension of our outside dining through April 1st of 2021. But I'm taken aback that it came with a threat that it'll be taken away next year. How would you react if I request that in order to level the playing field, outside dining permission should be rescinded for Silver Street Tavern, Cancun, Last Unicorn? Those very people who decry our use of Haynes Park as an unfair advantage, all 3 of them signed that letter, but they've had that advantage for years. And nobody has uttered a word about it. So let's put an end to all this talk about fairness and process and see it for what it is, envy. I would like you to address my safety concerns, and I request that you make a decision regarding the park before I put my time, energy, and effort into something that you decide to simply hand off to someone else who has put no effort in gaining approval from the state for its use, and who is simply riding the coattails of our hard work and creativity. I'd like you to find out what the other ideas and plans are for next spring, and what effort these people are going to put forward to make their plans succeed, and indeed if they are engaging with the state in order to receive permission to put those plans, if they even exist, into action. I'd appreciate a decision soon so I can move forward knowing what the future holds. Keep in mind that those trying to stall the process simply want to stall us due to our success. Maybe they should spend more time focusing on making Waterville a better place by operating better businesses. Thank you.
I would just comment, that's kind of where I went with my commentary, I think last time was, I think, we've talked a lot about process and fairness and whatnot, but, and I only know this because I've talked to Ms. Bergeron along the way, as well as Councilor Foss, and I know all of the additional licenses and fees and work that goes into getting the state legislature to actually change the law for you. And I think my only commentary last time was, I think if the council is entertaining changing everything in the spring, I think it's fair to say that we ask the other businesses, do you have plans for that? And what are you going to put into it? Because if there's no request and there's no plans, and they don't plan on spending any time following up with the state, and this isn't an attack on anybody, I patronize all of the downtown businesses. There has to be some buy-in there. So I think the city's trying to be fair and say this is a public space, and we need to be open about how we're letting people utilize it. In return, I think what Ms. Bergeron's asking is that we be fair back and say, go to those other parties if they claim that they're interested, and say, all right, are you going to be spending the time to go to get these to go to the state now? Are you going to spend your time going to the legislature? Are you going to spend your time with the liquor inspectors? Because I understand you're not going to put in all that work if somebody else would come in afterwards. And I think now is an opportunity. We're being given, you're basically saying take an opportunity and go see if there is those plans out there, which is I think what Councilor Frankie was
Plans are going to
asking.
change in April. We'd like to know now. I don't want to
Sure.
wait until April. You know, we plan ahead. And that's what I feel like is lacking perhaps from some other people. Is they're saying, oh, wait, you know, they've got this great thing. We want it too. That's not fair. Why'd they get it? Well, because for years it sat there and nobody asked for it.
Yeah.
And nobody made it happen. Yes. Sorry.
Councilor Thomas or
Rick can go first.
okay.
So Jen, you and I have talked quite extensively on this, and what when COVID hit, and the intent was to get everybody up and running as quickly as possibly as we can. You know, yes, there are bumps, and we're seeing and hearing those bumps. Going into April 21, you're right. We need to get some ideas on paper from Charlie, from Kevin, and what the next year looks like.
None of
And
them
those are
utilize
things-
that park from
Hold on,
the liquor inspector.
Hold on. I get your passion, okay? But those things need to be formulated between everybody so that everybody's workable in this. And
Well, I think the businesses that are down there, I don't think Charlie has a claim. Charlie, the 3 restaurants on Silver Street have actually city-owned space that's been built out
Yeah.
for their use. So this is really the people who don't have the space.
And if they're all in agreement, you know, if they're not going to do anything, like Mayor said, if they're not going to use it, so be it. Put it in writing, though, then we can make this problem go away.
So do we have
Bumps-
to have
I mean,
every
ultimately, the
restaurant in
park's
town
gonna get
put it
blown
in
up,
writing
isn't
that
it?
they
Can we,
don't want it? Or maybe they should put something in writing that, hey, we would like to utilize this, here's our idea. But if it's just, we want to stop the Lion's Den Tavern from being as successful because it makes us look bad, then they should just sit down and think about their own businesses.
Jen, I'm
So-
looking at it as getting things on paper, okay?
So-
That way, we can plan like you want to.
And I don't want to get in a huge debate during community notes, because we've always said this is not a debate time, and I think this council needs to absorb the information and work with the city manager, work with Jennifer, and figure out a way to move this forward. But I don't think this is the place for a debate about it.
No, I agree, but like, I mean, I think that we've absorbed a lot of information over the last, 2-3 months, even, at the beginning of, the COVID, and we said, hey, listen, come to us with your plans.
Yeah.
And I think that, Jennifer's done a great job and is going to wants to continue to do a great job. I think it's time to really just let's do it. Like, can we put a deadline on this and say, okay, great. I don't need to know. Let's start this process, immediately and say, it's 2 weeks before our next meeting. Well, 3 weeks before our next meeting. Like, if you have intentions, let's get them out there and let's see who's in the game. Because I don't want to, let's not wait. There's no need to wait. Like, I don't need to know, like, this is what we're going to look at. We're going to have this is going to be our place settings and, stuff like that. It doesn't matter to me. At this point, who wants in and what are your plans?
And who's willing to do the work to
and
make
then
it
at
happen?
that point, let's have a discussion and say, okay, great, there's only these 2 people. Let's figure it out. And then go from there. And that way, Jennifer can move along and whoever else thinks they want a spot and let them go figure it out and realize how much work it is and either wants it or doesn't want it. But I think that's got to start sooner rather than later. And I don't think that, given everything that we've done and the number of times that we've talked about it, that it's unrealistic that we ask these businesses now to come say, hey, on, what is this, October 6th, this next meeting, let's put it on the agenda and let's come and say, yeah, I want part of this park and this is what I want to do with it.
And
I don't
here's
see
what
it
I'm
as an
willing.
issue.
And here's what I'm willing to do, to make sure that the state, that I can. Here's
we had
my
that
level
conversation
of
down the road.
participation in getting those laws changed to make it happen.
Yeah.
And Flavia, I did see your hand. Just
I just want to sort of reiterate what I said at the last meeting, about other restaurant owners who complained that there were no accommodations made for them, is that we can only act on what's in front of us. And what was in front of us at the last meeting was giving you approval until April 1st. If you wanted it for longer than that,
I did ask for it for longer.
so you should have brought it up at the meeting. But the council is not, I mean, I haven't talked to everyone about this, but we're certainly not looking to pull the rug out from under you. I think we were just trying to give people assurances at the last meeting that what we were voting on was what was in front of us, and anything beyond that was going to involve more discussion. Now, what is concerning to me is that somehow the pub was operating without an off-premise liquor license for 6 weeks. I mean, I don't know how that happened. You know, that's something we're going to have to make sure doesn't happen in the future. But there's so many things. I think the city does have to be careful about getting too far out in front of this, because there are a lot of things that are out of our control that have more to do with what the state's going to allow, and sort of the allowing of you to use this space was a decision hastily made because of conditions that we were in. Now, there's been a lot of discussion about it since. I don't, you know, and I talked to everybody. I think the long-term solution to this is what the long-term solution has always been, is that the people downtown who own these businesses, who know each other very well, need to learn how to get along with each other.
I agree.
And I know that's easier said than done. But, you know, until those avenues have been exhausted, you know, we need to make sure that those discussions happen before the city council is, you know, judge and jury on these things. And I'd rather see something like what happened with the Sweat property, where there's an accommodation made once all the concerns are out there, and people, you know, can come to some sort of consensus about what's an acceptable solution for everybody. But I have a lot of experience with all of you.
I have
So-
tried to bring the restaurants together, and that is not really something that's, it's going to be easier to get the laws changed permanently from the state than it is to get those restaurants to work together.
Certainly no
Would you
one
work
on
with
this
her
council, I
this
don't believe,
week?
is having any backdoor discussions about yanking
Would you
this out
work
from
with her
underneath
to
you.
get
Certainly
this
nothing that I've heard about.
on the agenda the way it should be?
And I always say, if you hear something on the street, you know, go to the source.
Sure.
Hang on, Flavia.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I want to make sure Flavia gets a chance to speak if she wanted to say something before other people.
Yes, I actually wanted to piggyback what Mike was saying, Mike Morris, and I do believe that he makes a sense. He actually makes sense to actually put a time frame on it. Like I'm thinking like by December, by the end of December, have other businesses come up with a written statement if they want the location, and by December 31st, if they don't have a written statement, how they're going to utilize it, because right now it gives them 3 months to actually get with the state, figure out what they're going to do with the place. If by December, if they don't have no plans, I say we should continue giving it to Jennifer, because she's utilizing that space and she's actually making it really welcome to the neighborhood, to the community. And to keep her waiting, I don't think that's fair too. So I'm really suggesting that we give the local residents, the local businesses until December 31st, come up with a statement, come up with a plan. Do you want to utilize it? If not, then there's somebody else that wants to do something with it. And also too, and with that sense, we need to come together and figure out what we're going to do for leasing, what we're going to do for the lights, and what are plans that we're going to take as a city. But I think this needs to be in plan. It needs to be in writing, because all over the place it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and I agree with that. The only thing that I don't agree with is this December 31st thing. I think that there's been enough conversation about it that we don't need to wait another 3 months to figure out if you want to use the space. If you want to use the space, then I think, by October 6th you should be able to. I don't think that. December 31st might be plans for like how do you plan to utilize it, but let's get the players identified. I don't think we need to wait 3 months to get the people identified. Like that just delays anything, because at the end of the day, if nobody wants it by October 6th, then we can just simply move forward, and Jennifer can do her thing. And if other people want it, okay, great. Then at that point we can work together and figure out, okay, what do you want to do? We can set additional toll gates throughout the remainder of the year, so that people can work with the legislators when they're in business in line and get these laws changed and work with anybody that they need to work with, so that their vision can be executed. So I don't think it's.
There's only 2 other places.
I
What's
know.
that?
So realistically, there's only 2 other places that could.
Then great, that's why I don't think,
Makes it-
that's why
makes
I don't
it-
think we need 3 months.
Makes it easy. All right, Councilor Mayhew?
Yeah.
And then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate the same thing. I think there's been a lot of discussion about this, public hearing about this. I think, the Lions Den Tavern has presented a great creativity, innovativeness with this park in developing it from weeds to what it is now. It really comes down to the hospitality business. This is all about competitiveness. Is what it really comes down to. There's no other word to say it in the restaurant business. This is all about competition. And the competition can get really wild sometimes, and I think Jennifer's obviously pointing that out. We have all the business owners, the city council, like I said before, I've said this, reiterated before, is that we came forth, we were very forthcoming, knowing how strict the state regulations were involving the pandemic when it hit, and the industry was hit the hardest. Frontline workers were laid off. There are still many families and many business owners in the hospitality business that are suffering, some hanging by a thread, not only in the state, but out of the entire country. I mean, we have hundreds of thousands of people that are in this industry that are still without work and still unemployed and still very vastly affected. And the city of Waterville stepped forward and said, and drew a line in the sand and said, what can we do to help our restaurant owners to survive financially, feasibility, socially, and like I said, it's the hardest thing, and Jennifer is right. It's easier sometimes to go up and change state laws rather than restaurant owners all working together. And somehow, some way, we have to have a breakthrough on this, whether it be a mediator, whether it be, I offer myself to help wherever I can, or anybody else. Like I said, I do have quite a bit of experience in this industry, and I do believe that, and I have compassion for all the restaurant owners in the downtown, and I very much admire, again, the innovativeness and creativity that has been done with this Haynes Park. And I know some of the conversations that have been said and have been done, and her plea is something to be acknowledged. And I do think we need to set a reasonable time date, like Council Morris has said, for those business owners that want a stake in this to come forward and present us their ideas. If they really want to have ideas, they got to be here. They got to put pen to paper and show us. There's got to be some kind of short timeline, because this discussion has been ongoing. It's been fruitful already. So that's how I feel about it.
Last comment.
I'll have a conversation with Kevin Joseph within the week.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Next, for community notes.
Thank you very much.
Yes, welcome.
My name is Ryan Tibbetts. Okay, so this morning I brought my daughter to school, the high school. As I was dropping her off, my eye was drawn to a blue sign staked to the ground right outside the school building, which said, "All are welcome here. #Believe in Waterville." Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the message as it is. It's perfectly benign, perfectly innocuous. My concern being that from what I've heard about the group responsible for putting out these signs, that they have actively called for the resignation of the city planning member whose recent entanglements with her neighbors is the impetus for these signs. So yes, they have. So my question is, given what appears to be a very political motivation for these signs, what I want to know is it appropriate for these signs to be on school grounds?
No. No.
No. Not any city property.
You see, I had a conversation with the vice principal of the high school, who told me some about the meeting that occurred when a teacher asked that these signs be put up. She was surprised to learn that the group responsible for the signs had called for this person's resignation. She was not up on any of that, so it seems to me from talking to her that certain particulars were omitted regarding the nature of these. And I am given to understand from things that I've read that she is alleged to have told her neighbors that they don't belong here, that they are not welcome here. So given that she has allegedly said this, the fact that these signs say all are welcome here, it strikes me, it makes them seem to me like a political attack ad. And that's why I'm here, because I had concerns regarding this.
Right. So your point is that had it been just like a generic, the school was trying to put out a nice message for kids to welcome them back, benign thing, but in reality, it's clearly perceived as a politically motivated battering ram, if you will.
Exactly.
Yeah, in an ongoing dispute between two private residents. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is the sign still there now?
I have not been back there since I got out of work.
Which school? I'm sorry. Which school?
It was the high school, right
here,
right outside here.
Okay.
But I was informed by the vice principal that identical signs are on all of the school grounds throughout the city.
All right. Then we'll take care of that tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
I have a question to that, because I have one of those signs, and actually I got it from one of the residents. So, and the sign that I have, it has no political statement right on it. It's just a welcoming sign, and that sign you get if you want it. There's all different types of signs that's going around right now, but I don't think it has because I think both sides are anybody can use that sign. I don't think it has any political grounds to it. Because I actually took a picture with my kids with the sign. I mean, I think it's the way it's a bias. I think it's the way you project the sign to be. It's how you're going to take it, but I don't think it's a bad sign. I don't think it has any political thing on it. And it's purple. Like, come on.
Well, yeah. Well, obviously, yes. It is a matter of perception to a degree, but looking at the particular political motivations of the people who put these signs up,
it's Dana Bushy.
It's obvious. It seems obvious, at least to me, that they are not simply, saying all are welcome here.
When I read it, or if somebody that's coming from the outside and they're reading it, they're not reading it with a bias either. It's just a welcoming sign.
Well, regardless, we'll address this tomorrow. Thank you so much.
We've gone to great lengths down through the years to make sure that city property is not used for any political purpose whatsoever. Sometimes it's a fine line, and it's a judgment call, and we always try to err on the side of caution by having the sign removed.
Well, for a long time, I have thought that schools in particular should be politically neutral.
Yes.
Right.
Especially in regards to something like this. So.
Well, it's a sign saying that the kids
Excuse me, this is community notes. Yep. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next for community notes.
Mayor Isgrove, councilors, thank you. I am Jeff Erickson. I'm a resident of Ward 4, and I'm hopefully here to speak on a nonpartisan matter. It's regarding College Avenue. I've lived here 25 years. I've driven up and down that road countless times, and I've never found the college. Okay? Where is it? Reading Earl Smith's history of Colby College, I realized they fled the jurisdiction and went up Mayflower Hill 70 years ago. So I propose to you that it is time to change the name of that street. And what I propose to you is that we name it after one of our finest Waterville residents who we've ever had, and that is Senator Mitchell, Senator George Mitchell. He was a fine Democratic senator from Maine. He was House Majority Leader, but most importantly, he solved the problem of the violence in Northern Ireland. For that, I think personally he should have won the Nobel Peace Prize. I'm disappointed he gets looked over every year. I think it would be a fine move on the City of Waterville's part to rename College Avenue for Senator Mitchell. I realize there would be a cost of signage, probably some state and DOT work, but the man is 87 years old, and if you want to do it during his lifetime, I suggest you act quickly. Thank you.
School's not enough.
Thank you. Next for community notes.
Sorry, I know you've seen way too much of me. So I am here because I believed that it was going to be on the agenda for the cannabis, the caregiver fee. It didn't make it on the agenda, and the next meeting is October 6th, which is past my September 30th deadline for me paying a caregiver licensing fee. I obviously will be paying it, and I will have to, otherwise I would lose my caregiver license, but it is going to lead to at least some sort of litigation, which is unfortunate. I really don't have the energy for it right now. I've got so many other things going on, but I was hoping you as a council, after the last meeting, were going to address that and at least discuss it.
Did anybody listen to the recordings? Any chance?
I apologize, I did not. Can we put it on the 6th, and if we decide otherwise, can we just...
Look, just for a little background on this, it's in our ordinance that the city is to license caregivers and charge a fee. There was objection to that many months ago by Ms. Bergeron. Bill Lee wrote you an opinion after consultation with the Maine Municipal Association that the city has every right to license and charge a fee for medical providers. That's in writing. I can get it to you again. I don't know why we need to rehash that same thing unless you want to ignore his advice and exempt certain people, which have already paid for this year, their fees.
So only 2 other caregivers have paid, just so that's...
Because I think one of the issues here that I didn't really understand till this last week necessarily in conversation that it's really, you know, if you're like a husband and your wife has cancer and you're you know, considered a medical provider to grow a plant to give to your wife, you now have to pay a $500 fee. You're considered. Now, it's only if the city knows about you.
No,
so the city is relying. Who is this? How is this?
No, it's only for growers of a certain number.
No, that's not correct. Read the ordinance.
Is it?
Is it for one plant?
No. Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes. If you are a caregiver, that ordinance says you have to pay the fee.
No.
Let's get the ordinance up. Yes, it is. It says if you're a caregiver, there's no definition in the law a difference between a person who's growing one plant and has a caregiver license and someone like me who has a bigger facility.
We're very happy to meet with you whenever you'd like to go over what the ordinance says, and then we'll all be much better prepared to talk about it again. But Bill Lee has already answered this question more than once, finally put it in writing.
My feeling personally is this, it sounds like the law needs to be clarified, and perhaps the state screwed up in their language with the law, but in my opinion, that's something the state needs to straighten out. Like, if we're getting legal counsel that what we've done is legal, we've been through this issue, as Mike says, at this point, if the law needs to be clarified, the state needs to clarify their law. So if there were conversations that the law was intended to be enacted differently, then this is something you need to take to your state representative and tell them to clarify their language in the law.
Right, but they're not in session, so I would. I and will be, but they're not in session. So there's not a lot I can do until they come back, which I believe isn't until January. But my fee is due September 30th. I am one of only, so I would be the third caregiver that would be paying this fee. Any caregiver is required to pay this fee. And I wasn't at the second meeting. When you guys actually passed this, you asked the question, had I changed my objection? And Mr. Roy said, yes, I had. Clearly, I have not changed my objection. So that was not, you were not given that proper information. And I apologize that I wasn't here. I kind of thought that we had discussed the issue, and I sort of thought people understood it a little bit better. But the issue is, yes, the MMA is telling you, you have the right to do this. They were also the ones on that recording saying, yep, we're leaving it this ambiguous because we don't want the caregivers to be, to have a licensing fee. So they totally said one thing to get their way, and then they did the exact opposite. So it was pretty disingenuous. But
Okay, thank you.
We're happy to meet with you to see what the ordinance says.
I'd like to be part of that conversation if you wouldn't mind.
No problem.
Cool.
thank you.
Thank you. Next, for community notes.
Anybody else? Could I speak?
Yeah.
There's no one else out there, Sarah?
Nope.
Okay. I just wanted to bring everyone a little bit up to speed on work that we've been doing for election preparation. So since we have declared formally tonight that the Waterville Junior High will be the facility for voting, we've made a very detailed layout, which is up here, and we'll have this on our website as well. We basically are queuing up voters outside in the entrance to the junior high in the purple area by Alpha Group line. And so those registered voters will enter into the main entrance of the junior high, and then they will go follow the purple line around and queue them up inside the hallway with 6-foot distancing. We'll stop them right where Sarah is pointing the pointer, and we'll have people down in the gymnasium down the hall pulling people down a few at a time because we have the gathering limit within the gymnasium. Then the green line that is outside is the line for new voter registrations. So we'll queue people up outside and bring them into the cafeteria, and we'll have a 50-person gathering limit in that area as well. We will allow people new registrants to register to vote, then we'll let them exit around and follow right back outside and get into line behind the purple line of people waiting to vote. So the short story is, if you wait till election day to register to vote, you will wait in line 2 times. So we're encouraging people to register to vote early if they're new registrations. We're putting up signs around town today that will remind people about where we're voting and encourage them to request a ballot by absentee if they choose to do so, and to update their voter registration information as well. So Candidates will be at the polling location near the main entrance, but because of social distancing, only a few will be allowed to be there. And so the overflow will be on the entrance side where all the voters will be parking and walking by. Show the parking area, Sarah. So the main parking area for all the voters will be on the left-hand side where the buses are parked normally, but we'll have the buses removed for that day. And then on the other parking area, which is towards the front of the building, because we don't want a lot of traffic going through there because that's where voters will be queued up outside, we're going to have handicap parking, so those voters don't have to walk as far. And we'll also have staff parking, so there won't be a lot of people coming and going necessarily from that area. So we've spent a significant amount of time over the last week trying to develop some reasonable plans. But because of gathering limits and social distancing requirements, the lines will be long. People need to plan to wait for at least an hour or more to vote on election day. We have more absentee ballot requests today than we had 4 years ago already. So that's encouraging, I think, that people are trying to stay away from the polling place and that they're trying to take advantage of absentee ballot options. We do have a new drop box facility at City Hall that has been installed outside of the main entrance of City Hall, and that is for folks to drop off absentee ballots so that they don't have to be concerned about delays in return mailing. So that's a great option. So we're gearing up. Ballots are not available until the first week in October, so folks can plan to come in person absentee vote starting October 5th. You may not want to come on October 5th because we're going to be very busy, and they'll be downstairs in the Front Street conference room. Only voting 2 people at a time because that's the social distancing requirement. So that will also have long lines. So one more thing that I'll mention with your patience is appreciated. There's been several mailings that have taken place throughout the city from various entities, political organizations, that are mailing to folks, telling them to request an absentee ballot. People are getting 2 or 3 of these and are calling our office incessantly because they're confused and they don't know why they're getting these mailings. They're not coming from the city of Waterville. People are taking advantage of get out the vote efforts. If you've already requested a ballot, you don't need to call us. You can just simply disregard those mailings. So thank you for your patience and time. If anyone has any questions about elections, they can certainly give us a call or check the website.
Mike, manager's report.
Manager's report. Yes, Sarah's going to help me by passing out the list of projects. You saw this the last meeting. I won't make this a long presentation. Please interrupt me with questions. The ones I want to mention in particular, the Bill grant is going to be advertised. Main Street two-way project is going to be advertised in October and bids due in November. And what I'm hoping is that once the bids come in, the city can choose one with the help of DOT and enter into a contract for that work to start in the spring of 2021. I'm really hoping to get that piece all wrapped up before I leave work for the city. That way the new person doesn't have to get in the middle of the contractual stuff. It hopefully will be done by January 1. Then by the pool is quite a bit disturbed, dug up. So they're in the middle of the demolition part of the work. We're happy with the way things are going. I'm going to keep moving down the list. One thing on item 4, the concourse redesign, I'm going to send something out to you after tonight's meeting, just reminding the council that that concourse redesign has a very, very big part to play in the discussion that we just had a few moments ago about outdoor dining in the concourse. So we need to keep that in mind. Either you abandon the design which you've already adopted, or we plan on anyway. I'll lay it out in a memo to you in terms of options. Solar projects, both projects are very much in the works, and I think you'll be hearing more about each one of those 2 projects.
Mike,
Fire.
can I
Yep.
hold you up just for a quick second?
Yep.
Solar farm on the landfill.
Excuse me?
Solar projects on the landfill. Where are we with that?
So
Right.
HEP Energy has 2 leases with the city.
Yep.
One for the landfill, one for what we call the Runcer property.
Yep.
The Runcer property is the one that's having the 5 megawatt facility developed. They were at the planning board just Monday night?
Good.
Yep. At the landfill, that's on hold right now. So nothing happening at the landfill.
Is there a reason? Is there a reason?
Well, the plan at the landfill was to connect to the overhead lines very close by.
Right.
They found out that that connection was much, much more than what they were prepared to spend.
Oh.
That was a 20 megawatt
Oh, okay. All right.
project, huge.
Yep.
Yeah.
But now they've got to find another way to connect to the grid,
Mhm.
or either that or pay the exorbitant fee to connect directly to that line.
Yep.
Okay?
Thank you.
The firearm training range bid request went out this week, or will go out this week. Actually, I think it went out today. Anyway, that we're going to have at least a number to work with about developing that firearm range. How much will it cost?
Think we're going to break ground on that this year?
I think that's still very much an open question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got to first get DEP approval, and we're not sure how long that's going to take.
Because what I don't want to see is spring come and we haven't spent a dime on it. You know, I'd like to at least get a shovel in the ground, start moving earth. So.
Yep.
Yep.
It's been going on for long enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, council meeting space, we've been looking at different options. I've got 5 possible sites listed. I'm working on listing the pro and cons for each, so I hope to get that out to you in the next few days, and to Patty too, of course. 2 Cent Plaza, the repair of the paving stones, they start Thursday. Okay? That's all on the projects, unless there's any, yes, Eric?
I mentioned it at the last meeting, Mike, just maybe add to the list the updating of the downtown TIF, the rewriting of the downtown TIF.
Yep. That is a short-term item I'm going to add right now. I am working on that. Downtown TIF amendment.
I see you, Claude.
Claude, have a question?
Yep.
Yes.
You're muted.
You're on
Claude.
mute.
Sorry. Mike, would you just say a couple of words about the meeting on Friday with the person from the Department of Transportation where he answered all the questions about the bill grant?
Right. We did have a meeting last Friday with some of the downtown businesses, especially, well, one in particular, on the east side of the road, concerned about sidewalk width. And Ernie Martin from DOT came. He was here for over 2 hours Friday morning, talked about the way the project has been laid out on Main Street, the geometrics of the project. And the biggest thing to remember from that whole discussion is that the center line of Main Street, as it is today, is going to remain in that same location. So once that decision is made, that the center line is here, where it always has been, that dictates how things happen on both sides in terms of width and so on. So I think Ernie did a good job in explaining why, in fact, on one side, there is going to be more room than on the other side, but it's largely a result of center line staying where it is. If you move the center line, then you're also disturbing all the other intersections where Main Street meets Appleton, Temple, Common, Silver. Changing that center line impacts all of those intersections. And so center line stays where it is, everything flows from there. Roads, pretty messed up throughout the city. But the good news is our paving contractor starts next week.
Great.
So, yes, for people asking you, and somebody asked me yesterday, what about Shores Road? Shores Road is coming up, if not next week, the week after. But North Street, Carroll Street, Middle Street, are all going to be next week, and Shores Road will be right soon after, Shores and Industrial Park Road. So a lot of the delay has been the fact that Kennebec Water and Waterville Sewer have facilities in all of those roads, manholes, catch basins. So when you resurface the road, you've got to raise those covers up to match the new, and that's quite a bit of job when you're talking about Waterville Sewer District has 26 structures that need to be adjusted, which will take approximately 2 weeks. And actually, those are the ones on North Street only. So there's quite a few of those catch basins, manholes that are coming up. But I think by October 1, our paving work is largely going to be done.
Mike, I need to apologize to you about Trafton Road. Back about 3 months ago, I jokingly said, "Are you sure that's going to last 10 years?" I've been out there quite a few times. I think it's going to last 10 years. So
gonna take 10 years
they're
to
doing a full
Yeah.
rebuild of that road.
They're doing it right.
It's going to be awesome.
Yep, and it's huge